Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Drawing Science. Today's episode is all about drawing seahorses and learning about seahorses. And the seahorse idea came to us from my cousin Mackenzie. Thank you so much, Mackenzie. And as a special reward, here's my reward. I want you to draw me a seahorse, Mackenzie. And in fact, I want you to draw me 10 seahorses. 10 seahorses. That's your homework from down here in Florida. Draw me 10 seahorses and then take pictures of them and email them to me or post them on Facebook or here on YouTube. So here we go. We're going to get started on our seahorse. Now, just like always, I'm going to be doing this digitally on the iPad Pro in a program called Procreate. I'm going to use my blue pencil today to emulate pencil lines, light pencil lines. There we go. I'm going to make that a little bigger so you guys can see it okay. And let's get started. So the seahorse, not actually a horse. I think everybody knew that already, but just in case. All right, so the seahorse is actually not too difficult to draw. The last couple have been on the challenging side. This one should be a bit easier. We're going to start with a circle. Just like that. That's going to be the face of our seahorse. And next up, I'm going to take this circle and I'm going to draw a line from right about here. I'm going to draw a line down about that far. You know, it's about a little bit longer than the circle is wide, just as a rough general guide. And if you get that a little different, it's not going to matter. I'm going to give this a little curl here. See how I got that over here? Same kind of thing going on right here. Little curl kind of comes up and then goes and connects right to our seahorse face. All right, next thing we're going to do is we got to get that seahorse neck going on here. Now the seahorse neck is going to come out about right here. Notice it's a little bit higher than this line here. See if I do this like that. It's a little bit higher than that. It's going to curve around. Okay, kind of curves around here. And this is going to be our seahorse back. Now, the other side of the neck is going to come right about here. It almost lines up with this line. Draw a straight line over. It'll kind of line up, but then it's going to quickly just kind of circle around there. And then seahorses have this kind of pudgy belly. Now, pay attention to these kind of things. Look where this belly is lining up on my seahorse, kind of right past the end of this circle. So I don't want to go much further than this, or my seahorse is going to look a little lopsided. We don't need any lopsided seahorses hanging out. This is like a backwards D right here. Just like that. And then this is going to come down, and look at this beautiful S-curve. An S-curve is like this. You hear artists talking about S-curves all the time because they're very nice to look at. And here is our S-curve right there. It's going to come down to the base of our seahorse tail. There is a seahorse. You've heard of a dolphin's tail? This is a seahorse tail. Okay. Anyway. All right. Now, our seahorse tail is kind of fun to draw. I'm going to draw from the bottom line. And I'm going to come around. Look at this. Going to curl around. And then bloop, just like that. Look at that little curl. And then I'm going to go on the other side of that. Now, this is maybe one of the trickier parts. Because what you got to do is you got to follow this other line that you just made. But as you go, you want this line to get a little bit thicker. Okay, not too thick. If you feel it getting too thick, you know, maybe start over again, but a little bit thicker, and then it's going to just line up. Now look, mine didn't line up exactly here. That's okay. That's okay. I can improvise. See that? Improvise. It can hook up right there. And now we have the basic shape of our seahorse. Yeah, there we go. This one's got a little more S-curve than the one I drew before. Now, a few more details before we start going in with our more permanent lines. One thing, I'm going to put the eye on here. Now, the eye is going to go right where the circle and that little nose meets, right in that area right there. That's where you want the eye. You want it to maybe stick up a little bit out of the circle, not too much. You don't want to give him googly eyes, unless he's like a cartoon, really cartoony seahorse, and you could do that. I'm going to add these little details and stuff when I do my permanent lines, but I am going to give him kind of this little kind of crown shape here, just so I know what I'm doing there. And then he's also going to have a little fin Seahorses have this little fin that comes out here. It's so thin, it's a thin fin, that you can almost see right through it. But it's there. They've got two of them. And you can, sometimes more, depending on what species of seahorse it is, what breed. No, it is a species in this case. And it's also very, very thin. These are small animals. Most seahorses are pretty small, like a few inches tall, I guess you'd say. There are even dwarf seahorses that are like less than an inch tall at maximum size. So there are some little bitty seahorses out there. There are some that get a little bigger, but not. They're not. These are not huge animals, and they have this prehensile tail. By the way, they use that to wrap around like seagrasses or different types of plants, usually corals, sponges, depending on where they're living, and that's how they're going to hold on because they're not fast swimmers. I mean, look at this body shape. This is not a thoroughbred seahorse here. All right, this guy is not moving very fast. All right, next lines we're going to do. They have these kind of almost segmented looking lines here. I'm just going to kind of indicate where those are. Now, this can be a little interesting because you want these lines to have a slight curve. Okay, just a little slight curve. See, I'm giving these a little bit of a curve. And the reason you want this curve is, like I've said in other drawings, it's going to help make the seahorse look a little more three-dimensional. So if I just did straight lines, it's just not going to look like it's curving. But these curvy lines, they tell our brain, hey, that's a curving thing, and it's three-dimensionally sticking out. There we go. And I also want to keep them, see, this one here is kind of starting to droop a little bit. I want to get that under control because these are not going to droop that much. I'm just going to come down, they get a little bit closer together as they get to that tip of that tail. Now, here's the next thing we're going to do. There's kind of these ridges on the seahorse's body. So I'm going to come down just like this, sorry about that, and right down to here, and right over here like so. Okay, now these ridges are important because these lines kind of curve into them. And again, I'm not going to do that for all these right now because I'm going to do that when I do my more darker lines. But I just want to kind of make you aware of what's going on there. Now they do have that other fin, their main propulsion, and there's a little thick layer of skin that's usually kind of round, kind of a half circle, sticks out of there, and then their fin is right out of here. It's like a little fan shape. Okay, this little fan shape. You can put some lines there, just like on this one here. Make his eye a little bit bigger. And there we go. There's our seahorse. Looks identical to the other one, right? Okay, it doesn't, but it's going to look close. Now, all right, I'm going to go to the part where if you are drawing this at home and you're drawing on pencil with paper, if you're drawing on paper with pencil, this is where you're going to use your darker lines. I'm going to actually fade this because I think you guys will be able to see it better. See, I can make this layer fade away. I'm just going to leave it there enough that we can still see it, but it's not just in the way visually interrupting what we're looking at. And we're going to start to do our permanent lines. Here we go. All right, so seahorses have this long schnoz. And, you know, the interesting thing is they eat a lot. Seahorses eat all the time. They have a really high metabolism. So they're constantly needing more food. Lots and lots more food. I'm going to give this a little ring around the eye right there. And, yeah, so they eat a lot. Most seahorses eat like little shrimp type animals, little live shrimp type animals. And they're not eating big things, they're eating lots of little things. All right, now this I'm going to bring out here. I'm just going to give it some ridges. Now, I'm kind of modeling this after a Florida species of seahorse, but it's just a generic seahorse, okay? This isn't exactly identical. And the good thing is that there is some variation in the body shape and stuff of seahorses, but for the most part, they look pretty similar. So it's easy if you want to draw a specific type of seahorse that you can do that just by making a few changes. They've even got some little spiky things coming off here. And I don't think I'm going to color this one, so I'm just going to give it some detail on here just to kind of let us know what's going on. They've got, some of them have a lot of markings and stuff, but just giving it texture. Look at how much different that looks if I add that on there. Okay, now we're going to do this little fin here. So the way I'm doing this is 2 lines kind of go in opposite directions, and then I connect them with a curvy line. And then I'm just going to indicate the little striations in the fin, just like that. Now we're going to start on the neck. And here's what I'm going to do. Wherever one of these lines comes up here, I'm going to kind of give it a little curvy point. So I'm going to go like this over to there. And there's probably one there too. Just like that. Down to this one. And then I'm going to go down to this one. See how this is working? Just kind of curving in and curving out. Curving in, curving out. It's like the Karate Kid. Wax on, wax off. Okay. We'll keep doing that all the way down until we get to the bottom of the tail. Now, if they don't line up, it's okay, because those are your guidelines underneath there. You can change them. That's why they're called guidelines and not like, permanent lines or something. So I'm just going to keep going until I get to the bottom of the tail. Now, these spiky looks on seahorses help them to blend in. They help them with camouflage. And when you're a slow-moving small creature, camouflage is really important because things gonna try and eat you. So blending in is how you survive. And they are pretty good at blending in. Around this area where I live, St. Petersburg, Florida, the seahorses down here tend to hang out in the grass flats. Man, they blend in really well to those grass flats. Really, really well. All right, I'm going to put these 2 ridge lines in here, like that. And then I'm going to draw the neck and belly of our seahorse. Now, just like on the back where we have those little spiky things coming out, there's a little bit of a spiky thing as well on this side, but it's not as prominent. It doesn't stick out quite as far. So I just kind of do a little line, and watch what I do. I kind of go up to this first ridge line, curve down and up, curve down and up, just like that. Okay, going to do that again. Go down here, kind of make a little spiky thing, curve down and up, curve down and up, curve down and up. And this is giving our seahorse kind of a shape. And you know what? I actually am doing this backwards. Let's just rewind that. Actually, we're going to curve up and down. There we go. Curve up and down. You could probably get away with the other one too. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Here we go down to this one. Now we're going to curve up and down, curve up and down, curve up and down. There we go. We're going to keep doing that. Now, the seahorse stomach is an interesting thing because a lot of people know this about seahorses, but they say it's the male that gives birth, and all the women rejoice. Actually, it's not quite what happens. I hate to burst your bubble, ladies, but it kind of is what happens. So the eggs are deposited into the male. So they're already fertilized, and the male does carry those eggs until the little babies hatch. So he's just basically, he's an egg holder. Okay, that's his job. That's what he does. He's an egg holder. So it's kind of like he is pregnant, but not really. All right, same thing on the tail here. We're just going down and around. Can you see what's happening as we do this? Can you see how these are kind of, these curvy lines are giving it sort of that three-dimensional look? Now, if you want, you can even add, a piece of seagrass or something in here, like your seahorse is gripping on to it. If you want to do that, kind of be cool. In fact, one of the neat things you can do with art is to add that background. I see I made a mess over here. Let's see if I can just get rid of that. Adding backgrounds and stuff like that can really help to sell your art as more than just a boring seahorse by itself. Is going to be more interesting maybe if we put some seagrass through there, just some curvy lines. He's kind of holding on there. We don't just want one, okay? Seagrass is usually going to be a few blades of that, Kind of have it coming down here. So you can add this kind of thing if you want. You can go crazy with it, you know, add some more over here. I don't want to spend too much of your time doing that, but you get the idea. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to erase my guidelines just to get those out of the way. Very cool. And I'm going to go back to my pencil layer and I'm going to add some more detail. Now you notice on the seahorse on the left here, I've added a lot of detail here, some patterning and stuff like that. A lot of that you can do better with color. So if you're coloring your seahorse with markers or crayons or colored pencils, you're going to be able to be a lot more effective with it. But since this is going to be a black and white seahorse, I'm just going to try and color it a little bit with my pencil. Just giving it a little bit of texture, little spots on here, just to give it a different look. Seahorses, by the way, I know that you knew that they weren't horses, but they are fish. They are bony fish, just like a trout or a bass or a clownfish or, you know, dory or whatever. They're fish. They're bony fish. So they have gills. They have fins. They have a skeleton made of bone, like all bony fish do. That's why they call them bony fish. Anyway, yeah, they're bony fish. So that's the group they belong to. And some of their relatives include things like pipefish, and of course things like trumpetfish, the leafy sea dragons, which are really, really cool. Some people wanted me to draw those, and I might do that eventually, but I got to tell you, they're a little more complicated, and I don't want to do anything too overly complicated. Now, here's what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of indicating where some of these spots would be, and even though I'm not going to really color this seahorse, just by doing this with these lines, just gives my seahorse a little more character and a little more style. He's a styling seahorse. All right. So that's going to wrap it up for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give my videos a thumbs up so that I know you're watching and that I know you're enjoying these videos. Also, leave some comments down below. Let me know what you think. Do you have any requests for animals that you'd like to see? Is there something you'd like to see me change? Something that you really like that I'm doing? Let me know in the feedback so that I can improve this channel. And hey, if you do like it, also subscribe so you can see new videos that come out. We also have a page on Facebook and a group on Facebook that you can join if you want to be updated on all the latest videos that are coming out, as well as good place to submit your artwork and get some positive feedback. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video. And yeah, bye, Mackenzie.